Let's do it.
Okay. Folks can see my screen okay? Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Kate, we just found out is sick this morning, so unfortunately she won't be joining us, and Leo is also out. So I will do my best to try and cover for them. I don't have anything, any burning items, so we'll just go through the deck and can use this as discussion time. So that being said, let's kick off the July 11th meeting of the Confidential Computing Consortium Outreach Committee. I'll just go through these real quick. Our antitrust policy, if you have any specific questions about this, I can always get you in touch with our legal team. Just a couple things to go through on the agenda today. I think maybe we'll spend some time talking about the use case report and also brand repositioning work group. If we've got folks on the call from that, that'll be good to talk to. No votes planned for today. So we don't need to go through attendance, which is great. And minutes we're doing automatic approval of outreach minutes, right, Rian? Unless people object, is that right?
That's correct, and I have no objections from the mailing list.
Okay. So, brand positioning work group update. Do we have any folks who are participating in that work group present?
Hi, this is Laura. I'm participating. Oh,
hey, sorry, I just joined. Yeah,
hey.
sorry,
Oh, perfect.
I'm subbing in today, so yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. Quick update. So the scope and initial plan, Rachel and I presented to the governing board on June 26th meeting, and the main feedback was that there was a major clarification on the scope. We are basically focusing on confidential computing brand, not the confidential computing consortium, right? It's not the CCC, it's the CC part of it. Other feedback was guidance on the use cases with focusing on AI, secure supply chain. And the next step for the working group is to discuss and decide on the following points: how to assess the current performance of the CC brand, multiple ways. So there are audit surveys, and obviously open to any input here. Also draft the action plan to present at the next governing body meeting for review and hopefully sign off. For example, if we decide in the working group that an audit is needed, we define the scope, the cost, et cetera. So, and then we obviously request the budget for it if available, and so on. So when present the plan, what works. And another thing, Rian, I don't know if you heard anything from legal, but the other question, just kind of to close that point, because there were discussion where as we all assume that we cannot trademark confidential computing, which might be the case, but where Ray and Kylie submitted that request to the next foundation legal team. I don't know if they have an ETA from them or not. So that's the key update. Any questions or thoughts?
No.
Mike has his hand raised.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
hey Mike.
Hey, just sorry, when the governing board said the scope is the confidential computing brand, not the consortium. So
Yeah.
does that imply a name change, or is that just digging in on what does confidential computing mean and stand for?
It's not. No, we're not changing the definition. That's definitely not that's not changing. I personally have a pain point with this one as well, because if we are enforcing anything on the brand, because consortium, we can brand, obviously it is a brand by definition to a certain extent, unless we don't trademark it, but it will be difficult for someone to claim being a consortium for it. But the confidential computing to enforce, I should say, the definition, and it will be a little bit difficult. I think it was more about the adoption, the messaging. I think we still have something to clarify from that perspective. So, Mike, I know it's not the straightforward answer you wanted, but I agree with you. But yeah, go ahead.
But they're not going to change the name. It's not going to go from confidential
No.
computing
That's
to private
at least during
computing,
the
or...
That's at this moment, no. I didn't hear.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think that's the direction that the board wants us to go to. Just to
Gotcha.
be clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Still, it still poses
So,
problems though, as you can guess, right? To
All
enforce.
all brands do.
Yeah, I know.
They can be made much worse by changing them.
Yeah, and then we lose equity, the brand equity of it, so which obviously we don't want. So anyway, we'll see where it goes, how it goes in terms of. I mean, ultimately the goal is adoption, right? So I think it becomes a little bit tricky when um, the term itself, or I don't know if the brand, if in this case, I don't know if we would qualify it as a brand, but the computational computing definition is not by other parties is not aligned with the consortium's definition. But there's also, from that perspective, is up to us as a consortium, as members, as companies, to message around that, and basically, even if it's not a quote unquote legal enforcement or brand typical like trademark enforcement, it becomes a de facto enforcement by messaging what it is and explaining and why it is important and what it is and why. Right. That's the purpose of the working group, is going from the what to the why. But I still think that there is work on the what, still explain what it is for more maybe it's almost like the next circle or ring of stakeholders in the ecosystem or the industry, right? So I know it's a long answer to your question, Mike, but I don't know if that
No, I mean,
satisfies
well,
it.
you answered the main question, which is they're
Yeah,
not changing the name.
yeah,
And
that's
that's
correct.
and that's and that's and that's fine.
All right.
And it sounds like and I think it would be it's interesting. I know this has been a thorn in the side, and if I may speak plainly, Amazon's definition of confidential computing has been a thorn in the side of many of the other CCC members because
That was the one that
they are,
was mentioned in the board
yeah.
meeting.
So I'm not surprised that is an area of great interest in branding and definitions because
Mhm.
Amazon's technology keeps basically Amazon in the center of controlling the confidential computing environment. You've got in a technology whose point is maybe supposed to be technological separation from the cloud provider. It's the cloud provider's own tech that's right in the middle of
Mhm.
the solution, and that's, I think, the sticking point.
No, absolutely, and I think that's definitely one of the examples that was mentioned. And again, I think it's up to us as a consortium, as members, to just really hammer the message of what it is, why it is important, our definition meaning, and I think we can, if we do it in a effective manner, we can overcome that, I think. Any questions on this so far? I mean, the one thing, we're switching to a bi-weekly meeting for the working group, and it's the week when we don't have the outreach, so the next meeting is next week. Kate kindly offered us a few minutes here in the outreach meeting, and we will keep on bringing updates here. So for the folks who are not on the working group, obviously everybody's welcome to join. Yeah. So any other question on this slide? All right, declines as a no. Rian, any ETA? Sorry, on the from legal. It's not the most urgent thing or most critical, but still, I don't know if you have
No,
anything.
unfortunately, we have not heard back. Ben, have you seen anything on the ticket from legal?
nope. But I'll maybe ping them after this meeting as a reminder.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is
Okay.
basically what the slides we presented to the board, or some of them, not everything, but I underline the CC versus CCC. Otherwise, that was the minor thing. But as I said, the next meeting is on July 18th next week. So it's going to be bi-weekly. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. If you're part of the working group and you don't have the invite, please let me know, Ryan and Rachel, and just send a note. And we'll make sure that you get the invite if you haven't. Next slide is the working group members as it stands, and we have Dave Singh, who joined us since last meeting. I don't know if he's on the outreach or not, but that's the working group as it stands as of today. Next slide is a tentative, really big tentative timeline at the moment. And I've added a couple of links for the document repositories and the Slack channel, as well as once we have the action plan, we'll start putting that in the next Foundation Asana to capture more rigorously the actions and the tracking of towards the plan. Take this with a grain of salt in terms of timeline, but we definitely wanted to show something to the board so that we are working toward that. And yeah, so any questions on the timeline? Let's give a couple of minutes, I guess, here to see what we planned. Okay. If nothing else, and if question comes up later, ping me on Slack or email, whatever, reach out to me, feel free to. And I think that was my last slide on the brand working group.
Just a quick note about Pet Summit Singapore happening, I think, next week, right? The 16th of July. Mike's not here, but I don't know, Sal, if you have any updates on this one, other than it's happening. Nope. Okay. Any questions about Pet Summit? You can reach out to me. Yes, Jen?
Just a quick question for the group. We've promoted this once. Should we pop it into our circulation this week to give it a little bit more love?
Yes.
Okay,
I see no downsides in that, yeah.
great. I'll do that.
I'm so sorry, I'm in the world's flattest spot in London, but I have good Wi-Fi. But for the PET Summit, particularly, we've been really focusing on getting recordings, which I think are excellent, because this is a crossover audience for us. So I'd love to let people know that there are recordings available if they can't be there live for the PET Summits.
Okay, I'll put that in the social comms.
And Mike will be there. He's participating, and I think he's also going to be meeting with a couple of members while he's over in Asia to make the best use of his time. So that's interesting.
Sal, will you be there also? So I can kind of tag who's going to be there.
No, I'm not there live, but I can amplify and make sure that we've got any of the stuff coming out from the event, because I really want to make sure PET is kind of small in terms of people in the room, but that's why we're trying to get the recordings and get them out as soon as possible, because it's really good panels.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right, just a reminder, call for proposal. There's the OSS EU CC mini summit happening in Austria in mid-September. So deadline for submitting a proposal is August 8th. There's also a panel, technical landscape of open source confidential computing. Anyone interested in that, definitely reach out or just follow the link in the slide to submit your CFP. Same question, Sal. Do you have anything you want to add about this one?
Yeah, I've got a quick thing to add for the mini summit. We've got a couple of projects that have shown interest in showing and showcasing their most recent work. So if you have any things that are closer to use cases, but something just short of that, I'd love to be able to showcase that in a panel that we're showing of emerging cases for CC. But if following on from our use cases report, I would love to see us have a panel on business cases for attestation at the summit. And I'm trying to get some of the more sort of market or like marketing oriented people to join in on that summit, on that panel, which will be run by Mike. So if you're interested in an attestation business cases panel, get in touch with me and or Mike. Let's see if we can get that done. We've got until the 8th of August to get those submitted. So there's still some good time.
Any questions about upcoming events? Great. All right, use case report. Published date of today. Jen,
Yeah.
are you able to mention a couple things here?
Yes, absolutely. So the use case report is now live on the Linux Foundation website, as well as a link to the use case report on CCC. I think I hit every channel on Slack this morning. So if you all could help us amplify on LinkedIn, X, CC reports and LF report, that would be lovely. We really want to get people excited about this. The work here is really tremendous, and I think it's going to open the door for lots of really great conversations across organizations that are interested in doing this. So again, our publication today is today. Next Monday, the Linux Foundation, whenever they do a research report, they also do a pretty extensive blog that gives a little bit of a different tone than kind of what we do within our own project. So that goes out on the 15th, which we will also be tag teaming with. This kind of gives a 1-2 punch, if you will, to the publication. And then from there, I will be doing weekly posts highlighting each use case. And then these infographics that you see below, we'll be pulling those and continue to promote them. I'm going to be looking also if there's other LF projects that maybe we could have them amplify some of those more specific use cases. So if any of you have ideas for where else we could amplify any of those individual use cases and or just the use case in general, Slack me, email me. I'm happy to jump on that and get the word out because we really want to make the most out of these case studies as we can. So Mike, it only took how long to get this done, but I hope you're really happy with the result. I think they turned out great.
It was a marathon, not a sprint.
Sometimes marathons, I'm a marathoner, so it's good. So if anyone's got questions on the use case report, feel free to reach out, and if I don't know the answer, I'll get it for you. But everybody's really excited about this. So Ben, you can go to the next slide. Content calendar, again, I'll be filling this out as we go. I'm going to add the PET and I'll probably promote mini summit again, but this will just kind of give you a sense of what it looks like that we've got going for the month of July. July is a little tricky because people are on vacation. So depending on how this goes in terms of getting people to pick it up, these are easy to repost. So we might repost the series in August. I just kind of want to see what we get. And I'm going to talk to Kate offline if we want to maybe do any LinkedIn promotional boosting, if you will, to get the word out on these case studies. So more to come on that. And just a reminder, if anybody's got anything they want to submit, the submission form is the best way to do it because it gets it into our Asana system so I don't lose track of it. And then there's a link to this calendar. So if anybody ever wants to know what's going on in terms of posts, you can always check here. If you want to put something in there as a tentative, you can also do that because I check it every day.
Rachel, I see your hands raised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, congrats on the use report release. I took a look at it and today and I found there's a lot of useful content. And I just have a quick question. I noticed that in 2021, CCC published a market research report that was conducted by the Everest Group that covers like the market sizing and all that. I wonder if there's any plan to conduct another market research that covers these areas, because one of the feedback I got from other analysts are some of those data are outdated since it's 2021. So just curious if there's any plan for that.
Maybe. And when I say that is, I don't know if it's been raised previously, Mike. I don't know if there's any whispers about that that you've heard, but it's something that we can talk about with Kate.
Sorry, was that directed at me? Your audio was not great there.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Mike. I was asking if you've heard anything or if there's been any discussions about this recently.
Sorry, about which one?
So there was a market research that was published by CCC in 2021. It's called Computational Computing: The Next Frontier in Data Security. So that's like a market research more in like broader context that covers like a lot of market sizing, like TAM and KGAR and all that. So now we're in 2024, and I wonder if there's any plan for any of the market research.
I have not heard of I mean, I know we've discussed, I think in here, a couple different times whether or not we want to invest in a refresh of that paper, but I think the consensus, it seems to be, or the plurality of those who were speaking up were like, it was important then. Products and solutions are more important now.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's why there's more focus on use case report as of today.
Yeah, because that research was originally commissioned at the kind of at the founding of the consortium, and it was largely to explain what the members thought was the market potential of confidential computing. As it's like, hey, this is going to be a really big deal. Everybody should get excited about it. And at this point, where most of the members of the consortium are working on specific projects or products, that saying the TAM is 15 billion is less important than saying our products will help keep you compliant with new regulations. So I think that's more where the membership seemed to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. The reason why I'm raising this, because it's connected with other analyst reports that we're trying to engage with, right? One of them is Gartner, and then we're trying to see if we can get more coverage for computational computing use cases or the market overall. And currently there's and it's kind of also ties to how we can better do like brand repositioning and to like have some of the coverage for the computational computing market, because right now there's lack of research on the internet, and this is only one. Which I found is super helpful when I came across that, and to cover the computational computing market, and that actually tells how big it is. So I'm just curious if there's any updated plan, but I think right now the focus is more on the product, which makes sense. And I found that use case reports are super helpful.
There's a couple, I mean, if we wanted to, I don't know, I'm getting into free form brainstorming mode, but if Gartner, getting to Gartner now is a little bit difficult. Basically they will listen to the people who pay them to listen. And so if we wanted to have basically get more Gartner focus on confidential computing, you may almost need to pay them and then have like a brief-a-palooza of members that can, we would then, convene a Gartner analyst meeting, and then, companies or project owners that were interested could brief on their particular areas, and it's all focused on confidential computing solutions. But
Yeah, I think, and to Mike's point, this is Laura. I agree with you 100%, Mike and Rachel. That's why I sent you all of those use cases. Those are real world. They're in the market today, and the fact that Gartner isn't talking about it, it's not even part of the Magic Quadrant. It's barely mentioned anywhere in their write ups. I think to Mike's point, it's a pay to play type of situation. But I like the idea of kind of storming from a holistic CC standpoint, from the consortium standpoint, and all of us showcasing some of the revolutionary things that have happened because of confidential computing and what's possible because of it. I think that's where the opportunity stands today, Rachel.
Yes, totally.
I agree
That
with you.
makes sense. Yeah, thanks so much for the insights, Laura and Mike.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. If you wanted to finish your thought, but I just wanted to jump in there too.
I'm as I'm looking at the content calendar here, and I am brainstorming, Gartner analyst splits, I realize I'm taking us down a rabbit hole. So we probably best return to the content calendar.
All right, Jen, anything else you want to mention about the content calendar?
No, I just had one more slide on the next page. Actually, maybe I didn't get that copied in. I'll add, there's a page that I didn't get copied over from last month, but just to share a little bit about the analytics for last month. June users were up another 300K. New users were up 400K. So we're just at that 3,500 in terms of website visitors. Really want to start to drive this number, particularly with these use case studies. So that's just something to kind of make note of. The other thing as it relates to kind of the distribution of where visitors are going to on our website, blogs represent about 20%, which is really great because that means that they're making that connection between social and the website. There's a lot of interest, and my suspicion is because you all have been doing so many conferences, the about page, it was represented 12% of the visits, and then the webinars were 11% of the visits. So I think that's really interesting for us to be looking at, and I really like that mix, if you will. Other thing to share with you, June, our followers were up 130%. Reactions were up 242%, and reposts were 2x what they have been. So what I will just kind of share is amplify as much and as often as you can. That really gets the word out, and it's nice to see that everything is trending upward. The other thing I'll just mention, and again, then I'll add this page into this deck so you guys can look at it in more detail if you want. The top posts for June were the mini summit information. So again, that's great. Looks like we have interest in the mini summit. Mike Bursell's and Dan Middleton's Tech Advisory Council conversation that they had, and then the new membership for both. I'm sorry, the new membership tier for startups. Excuse me. Those were our top posts. So trends well with kind of what we announced in June, but we'll track and see how they track in the month of July, just for kind of that longer tail. So those are my highlights for analytics and metrics. And I think that's all I got.
Any questions for Jen? Okay. Thanks, Jen. Alrighty. Small update on discretionary budget, just so folks know where we're tracking here. So our largest discretionary item is our outreach event budget, right? And forecasting and our actuals puts us at having about $40,000 left, which honestly is a pretty good buffer. And there's a lot of expense, forecasting our event spend is not exactly a science. So we need to have a little bit of a buffer just in case there's things that come up last minute, or expenses that are slightly more, or we need a monitor we didn't think about, or a couch we didn't think about, right? Those types of things. So I think we're doing pretty good there. We do have unspent research budget, and so my ears perked up a little bit when we were talking about the rebranding work. So when we get a little farther down the road, this might be the bucket that we pull that. If we need to pay for some third-party services, this might be the bucket we pull from. Outside of that, travel budget's tracking actually under budget for this time of the year, so we're doing good there. And we still have some third-party marketing, a small amount allocated that we haven't spent yet. So yeah, the top line for the budget is we're looking good. No overages forecast. Any questions on budget? Cool. Open forum for any other business, any other topics that anyone wants to broach. I'm going to take that as no other business then. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. Thank you for bearing with us with our leads, either sick or absent. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Rian. We'll get the answers that you need. And yeah, thanks everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Take care, folks.
Thanks all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.